Hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to a special edition of it is the afternoon rabble. It just happens to be in the morning. So there we go. Fresh off of our 10 a.m. members phoning. The members are the reason that we're here, to be brutally honest with you. They forced me into doing this. I was just going to do the afternoon rabble as normal at 12:30, but I was forced into doing this qualifying draw. And joining me is Bryan. Bryan, how are you?
Very well, very well. Had a long weekend. I was doing a charity pub walk down in England, so I think it was 19 or 20 venues visited. A drink in each
How much money spent on booze, Bryan?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yes. a few extras thrown in there as well. So no, it was a really good day. I think there was 4,500 people did it, so it was a really good turnout, and I think it was a local hospice that benefited from the money, so that's always a good thing to do. So
Brilliant.
So it was really good, and I don't think I'll be looking too much. Looking forward to another beer very soon, so I'll just be avoiding it for a wee while.
Catich Loyal, unfortunately, it's not a helmet, it's just my hair. Unfortunately. Now that I've not got the afternoon rabble, I might have time to go down and get it cut. Who knows? But anyway, look, we're here to talk Rangers, Bryan. The qualifying draw for the Champions League. The teams that we can get, Panathinaikos, Bryan, or Servette. We'll go through them one by one. Panathinaikos, Bryan, we're just waiting on the show to start, folks. For those of you, it's on YouTube, on the UEFA YouTube page. Panathinaikos, Bryan, I don't care what kind of forum they're in. I don't care where they finished in the league. Greece is not an easy place to go. And just for context, Panathinaikos finished second in the Greek Super League last season on 59 points. Olympiacos won the league with 75, so 16 points clear of second place Panathinaikos. However, as I said, Bryan, Greece not an easy place to go.
No, I think Olympiacos and Panathinaikos have certainly been, difficult places for us to go in the past. And our UEFA Cup run back in the day, I think we drew 1-1 in Panathinaikos. So, Olympiacos played very recently as well, if I remember rightly. So, I mean, looking at Panathinaikos, I mean, they got beat in the third qualifying round to get into the Europa League, and they got to the round of 16 in the Conference League. So that's the sort of level they're at. So I would like to think that we should be able to get past them. But
in the current state we're in, Bryan.
In the current state we're in, I'm just a way to say, if it was a normal given game, I would be quite happy to face any of these teams. But with the current state that we are in, with the squad and the lack of signings and stuff, then this is the sort of game that can really. This is the sort of game that can really, trip us up. So we've got to watch ourselves. As you say, Greece has never been a very fruitful place for us to go. So we'll have to be careful.
How to get a show demonetised in 2 seconds, Bryan, with that Champions League team coming. I had the decency to mute mine, but there we go.
I thought I did have mine muted, but I clearly didn't. So
as Catich Loyal saying, but a copyright infringe there. I don't know if he's
It could have been anything.
It could have been. I don't know if he spelled infringe like that or made it look like that just to have a go at my hair. But yeah, there we go. Thought you weren't doing a live volume. Well, it's your fault as the sun now starts to beat in because I forgot to put my blackout thing up. But it's your fault, William. Donald, the draw, as far as I know, is on the UEFA YouTube page. Just go to the official UEFA page. 5.68 million subscribers, so close to the rabble, but they're not quite there yet. And you will see the draw there. I'm getting so many horrible comments for people. It's unlike them, Bryan. They're usually very nice to me on this. But can I just ask for anybody tuning in and watching, this is your first time hearing you enjoy the content on YouTube, please do give us a like. Consider subscribing to the show as well. Follow us on all socials, links are in the description, and of course we are live on Facebook and Twitter as well. Just a quick one while we're waiting on the draw happening, and I want to discuss Bryan and Servette in a wee second. But Fighting Fish has put in a question, Bryan. One of these, I'm not sure. Settle an argument. Who was better, Jelavic or Purcell? He thinks Purcell.
If I was picking one of the two, I would be all over Jelavic. And Jelavic was a far better, more complete player. I mean, he was able to take free kicks. Some of his finishes were just unbelievable. The dink in the cup final, that hit off both posts. I just think Jelavic all round was a better player. I think Perzo was a absolute demon of a striker, but unfortunately, we'll never know if we could if he could get to the peaks of his power, because obviously when we got him, he was really struggling with his knees, and he didn't have much time left in his career. So I'm just purely going on what they did at Rangers. Now I would be all over Jelavic.
They're just announcing the coefficient rankings and seeded and unseeded teams and what that means. So there's a Champions path and a League path, seeded and unseeded in both. I'm guessing we'll be in the League path, Bryan. It doesn't really matter because we know the teams that we can face. I'd probably go Jelavic. I think if we had got Purcell before the knee problems, although he was phenomenal for us, don't get me wrong, I'd probably just go on the side of Jelavic. But Panathinaikos would be a very, very tricky draw. Bryan, on the other hand, Bryan, 11 games into the season, sitting second in the league, 6 points behind Viking with a game in hand. I despise the fact that we would have to come up against a team, Bryan, and I said it on the morning phone in, I despise the fact that we would have to come up against a team that's a quarter of the way through their season.
Yeah, it's a slight mismatch, isn't it? We would have guys fresh in the door, barely out of pre-season against a team, as you say, that's flying in their league. They're well into their season. Playoff round, they got beaten the conference playoff round last year, so the European stuff isn't maybe their forte, but again, I would imagine it's a plastic pitch out in Norway. Going by, just by Norway, I think most Scandinavian countries are plastic pitches, so that would be an issue for us. So there's very rarely a game now in Europe you go away or you get a draw and you look at it and you go, that's easy. There's very rare games now in Europe, so you've always got to watch yourself. But again, Bryan, this is the problem with us just now. We've got nothing to gauge on how we're going to be. We have no idea how we're going to be. We could turn out to be absolutely, brilliant under Martin, but at the same time, we could take a while to get going. So we're going to be up. We're behind the 8 ball straight away, and it's any one of these three ties is extremely difficult. As I say, if it was seasons gone, if you were going by squad that we had last year, I would like to think that we would get past them.
Yeah, and I suppose the importance of this, Bryan, is you want to get through this tie because then you're automatically, as far as I'm aware, and please anybody correct me if I'm wrong, we get through this tie, then we're guaranteed to be into the group stages of the Europa League.
Yes.
Whereas if we go out on this tie, then we go into a qualifier for the Europa League. And if we go out then we're into the Conference League. So we're guaranteed European football. Conference League, however, is not where we want to be.
No, we don't. We really don't. When you get to this stage, Champions League draws, and you see the draws and you see the teams that you could possibly face. That's where you want to be. That's where you want to be playing your football. And as you say, with all due respect to the Conference League, that's not a level where we've proven that we're a competent Europa League team. But we're very good at that level. Now we've got to try and bridge the gap and get up to the Champions League sort of level and compete at that level. So we've really got to start asserting ourselves in this competition, and it's all going to be very much down to the fact that the signings are got to be spot on. We've got to get them all right. I don't think we can afford very many poor signings this summer. I think we've got to get the majority of them pretty spot on. So it's going to, all of it's going to be difficult, but it's all about the signings and where we stand before, I would say 2 or 3 weeks before the actual game kicks off.
I'm not sure who one of these guys are, right? But see, when he's doing the draw, he's kind of just going. I don't know if they're purposely obviously trying to look at the balls as they mix them. But the guy's literally just going.
You would like to
Looks
think
as if he's been held hostage, man.
I know he's busily he's trying so hard not to look at the balls when they're spinning around so that he thinks, oh, I might not see which one has just been put in, So it's I've always thought they should have like a
spot on. He looks so intense. So far we've got Ledvadia Tallinn. Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
RFS.
But Dynamo Kiev's just came out the hat.
Is this the Champions Path? Man. Is this the Champions Path?
Yes, I believe so.
Right, okay.
With the seeded and unseeded teams. Man, this guy, who is he? Is he an ex-footballer?
I would imagine the guy on the right is. I don't know who the guy on the left is.
No, he'll just be some kind of UEFA delegate.
Yes.
Yes. But this guy's
fair,
look at the look on him, man.
I know, but he's got a UEFA jacket on as well. So
it'll be Paphos against Maccabi Tel Aviv. Can we just get to the Rangers, please? I'm really not interested in the rest of these.
This is the problem with this draws, though, isn't it? You've to. It's painful watching until it gets to the point that your team is involved, isn't it?
What I will say is, welcome Nicholas, who's saying that Panathinaikos will win it. What I will say, Nicholas, is we had many fans of other clubs last season coming in here for European games who said that their team were going to win it, and we beat them. So never underestimate, no matter how poor we are in the league, never underestimate Rangers in Europe. And I will say to folks again, I have put a link in the chat. Scroll up and you will see it. That will give you the draw on YouTube. And it is also available on the UEFA website as well. So just type in UEFA on YouTube and the UEFA channel should come up and it will be on that for you. So yeah, this is the Champions Path participants being drawn.
Mm-hmm.
At least they're doing it quite quick, Brian. But just go back to Bryan very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the goal, like I said, they're sitting second in the league, 23 points, but they've only got a goal difference of 5, so they don't appear to be a team, from obviously my very quick analysis, that score a lot of goals.
No, so that's something you can obviously take into account as well. As you say, they're 12 games into their season already, is it? The 12?
11.
12,
they're 11.
11 games, so that's they're up to speed as far as fitness is concerned. So that's something against us as well. So that'll be a tricky one in the sense that we're fresh off sort of pre-season, so that'll be a difficult one as well. So yeah, this is the pitfalls of the qualifying rounds, isn't it? You're sometimes playing teams that are a third into their season or well into the season, and you're just coming out of pre-season. So I'm afraid this is just part of the pitfalls of the group stage, and surely this is enough of a sort of incentive for the players to say, right, let's not get involved in these qualifiers. Let's just get straight into the group stage. So that's the sort of that would be my sort of attitude. I'd be saying to the rest of the players, look, let's just win this league and get out of this qualifying nonsense and get straight in. And we could have a nice long holiday in the summer. We don't have to come back early and do pre-season. So that's the sort of motivation that I would be saying to a lot of the guys. Let's get a grip and win this league and then avoid all this nonsense. So yeah, nobody likes a qualifier because it's a difficult situation and it can make or break your season.
It really, really can. And James Cameron's saying, no, Rangers haven't been drawn yet, Andy Mack. If they had, you would know. As James Cameron saying, we have a poor record against Scandinavian teams that have started their season.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very, yeah, they're just into their groove, aren't they? The Scandinavian teams, they can, they've got all their players signed. They kind of They've got their team cohesion. They've got their goal scorers scoring. They've got their defenders defending. So it's very difficult. But it's, as I said before, just win the league. Then you don't have to worry about all these qualifying nonsense. Then you're straight into the group stage and in with the big boys. That's the motivation we should be looking for. None of this qualifying, but again, it's a tricky one. But I mean, I think that the tie of the round so far is that Shelbourne Linfield, isn't it? I mean, that's going to be that's going to be monstrous, isn't it? I would hate to be a policeman that day.
That is 100% the tie of the round. Because they don't need to travel far when they're
No,
going
that's
away
very
from
true.
home.
I mean, you'd think Shelbourne fans and Linfield fans are rubbing their hands going, right, where are we going? Are we going to Romania, Slovenia? Somewhere nice? No, you're just going down the road or up the road. You're not going very far. What an absolute spear.
Oh, you'd be raging, wouldn't you? I tell you what, but they need to televise that because I'd watch that.
Oh yeah, 100%. That'll be
Shelbourne against Linfield.
I would imagine one of the TV channels in Ireland will be showing that 100%.
Yeah,
John,
the
channel, the draws on UEFA's YouTube channel. So just search UEFA TV.
Yeah, it's not just that as well, but for Shelbourne and Linfield, they'll both be looking at that, going, "We can get into the playoff round here. We've got a real chance."
Absolutely, yeah. They'll both fancy their chances, so they'll both be licking the lips, thinking, right, if we can get past, either Linfield or Shelbourne, both teams will be fancying their chances against each other. So yeah, they'll be thinking they can go decently deep into the competition. So it's one of those that could go anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Really could.
I had a question here, and there's that many comments coming in. I can't. Lionel, do you want to play against Panathinaikos? I'll be brutally honest with you. The only team I want to avoid, Bryan, is Bryan, and that's simply because they've started a season. But again, I'm not sitting here going, well, if we get Panathinaikos, I'm happy, because regardless, it will be a tough game.
Yeah, it will be. As I said before, getting qualifying stages in Champions League, Europa League, or whatever competition it is, that none of them is going to be easy, because every team knows that it's do or die sort of time. They've got to win that tie or they're out. It's a difficult situation for clubs to be in. So it's going to be very, and of course with the fans there as well. The Panathinaikos fans are very passionate and loud, and so it's going to be extremely hostile sort of ground as well. So there's
expensive trip for Wolf as well.
Yes, I know. Wolf will be sort of shaking his head at the fact that he'll have to be shelling out to go to Greece. I think he'd much rather a ferry over to Stavanger, over to Norway, wouldn't he? So
yeah,
that would be far
I just
easier.
say for everybody in the comments, I've put the link for the draw in about 3 or 4 times. So just scroll up. I'll put it in one more time. Hold on. I'll put the link for the draw in, because I think they're about to get on to the unseeded teams. Not the unseeded team. Not the Champions path.
League path.
Right, this is the league path coming up now.
Right, that's the link in the chat there, folks. So if you want to watch it, it's there.
So here we go. So we're seeded. Rangers,
Yes.
Salzburg, and Victoria Pilsen are seeded. Panathinaikos, Servette, and SK Brand are unseeded. So here we go.
There's 2 out of those 3 nations are extremely expensive. Switzerland and Norway. So there's that to take into consideration as well.
So here we go.
Yeah, this is it, folks. The man with the steady eyes is going to...
Look at the face on him, man.
I'll tell you what. There's only one ball. I don't know why he's not looking at it.
So Bran at home. Bran, the first name out. They're at home. They will play Salzburg. Bran versus Salzburg.
Oh, so the Panathinaikos guys will be loving this.
So it is either Panathinaikos or Servette. It's Bran's a team I didn't want, just because they have already started their season.
Should be quite happy with that now.
So the second game, first team at home will be Victoria Pilsen. We can't
play them.
No.
Nope.
So it's Rangers versus Panathinaikos.
The fans have got their wish. It's Panathinaikos.
It's Panathinaikos.
It's
That's
just
a tough game.
It's just a case of if we're home or away first.
Yeah. We'll just find out if we're going to be at home first. Well, first leg at Ibrox.
First leg at Ibrox. Wow.
It had to be the team that's the hardest to spell, but didn't it?
Yes, I was going to say it's not the easiest, is it? Everybody's now frantically either Googling Panathinaikos or Googling flights to Greece right now.
So there we go. Rangers have drawn Panathinaikos in the third round qualifying for the Champions League. Your immediate reaction, Bryan?
Yeah, as I said before, Greece is always going to be the hotbed to go to purely because the passion that the fans have, themselves and their neighbours Olympiacos. The fans always put on a great show for the TV. So it's going to be a tricky game for us. Not quite sure how their sort of summer sort of transfers are going with Panathinaikos. Haven't sort of seen or heard anything. So. Well, Dessers is away to AEK Athens, so that's the only sort of link that we've got. So we've just got to go into it and with a bit of confidence. And at the end of the day, Panathinaikos, I believe, was at the round of 16 Conference League, was it? So it's all dependent on our summer transfers. I keep saying this. Until we've got all our signings in the door, or most of them, because by the time this game kicks off, we're still going to have guys to come in, and the window's still open. So it's for me to avoid this stuff. We've got to win the league. It's as simple as that. That's if you want to avoid these group stages and all these early games of the season. Win your league. You don't have to do this. You'll maybe have one qualifier instead of all this stuff. So. That would be my sort of message to the players.
Would you have preferred the second leg to be at Ibrox?
I probably would have, because I like to know what's you have to do, in the second game. At least if you get a draw away from home, then you can take it back to to Ibrox, and then you at least know then what you've got your home advantage in the second leg as well. Whereas if we draw or lose the first game. Against Panathinaikos, then we're up against it because we'll have to win the game over there. So I would always prefer the home tie, the second leg, but unfortunately it's not that way this time. So we're going to have to do it the hard way, aren't we?
We are. And I'm just looking at some of Panathinaikos' key players, and one of them is Filip Juric.
Yes, I remember him. Where did he play?
So 28 games last season, 7 goals, 1 assist. Look, I think we have to. Look, it didn't matter what team we got. Probably maybe Servette, as this sun just absolutely beats down on my face. Probably maybe Servette. But certainly, look, let's look at the positives here, Bryan. It's not unattainable. It's not an Ajax or a Liverpool we've got. It's Panathinaikos.
No, it's not. It's certainly a tie that's winnable. That's the first thing we've got to say. It's a winnable tie. It all depends on our summer recruitment and who we can get in and get the pre-season underway very, very quickly. As William's saying there in the comments, we've beaten bigger teams, so I'm confident we can get past Panathinaikos. There's no reason why we can't. So I'm fairly upbeat in the sense that we should be able to get past Panathinaikos and progress into the next stage of the qualifying. Because let's be honest, if we're not able to beat a team like Panathinaikos, then we don't belong in the Champions League. So that's where we've got to start making inroads. As I said before, we've got to start making inroads in this Europa League, UEFA Champions League stage. We've made sure that we're a competent Europa League team. We've got to bridge this gap to the top league now. So we're going in the right direction, I think. We've got the right owners in place now. I believe that the sporting director and guys like that have got a plan, and we've got to we've got to trust them and hope that they get all the guys in that they want, and they're correct.
And as channel member Robert's saying, massive chance to progress to the big money round. Signings are critical. And that kind of moves us on to, and we'll have a quick discussion about this, Bryan, about signings coming in, players going out. But before that, I had an interesting call this morning on the members' phone in, and it was,
I heard it.
I think it was Jack that said that he thinks that Rangers supporters who maybe aren't that into Russell Martin will use the Champions League as a stick to beat him with if he doesn't make it. Are we expected, given the state that we're in, given the fact that we need a kind of a rebuild, etc., are we expected to make the Champions League this season?
If I was being brutally honest, I would say it's going to be a tough ask, I think, purely because of the fact that I think the last qualifying round, or the playoff round, I can't remember, some of the teams that will be involved in that will be, very, very good teams. So with the new manager coming in, with the squad as it is, I would say it's going to be extremely difficult for us to get to the Champions League proper. I'm just going by what's in front of us. As I say, the managers just come in, the signings, we're going to have to make signings extremely quickly. They're all, pretty much all of them are going to have to be spot on. So it's going to be a tricky. I think it's going to be very difficult for us to get to the proper Champions League, if I'm being honest.
And can I just say, I love comments like this. The Marin Tour, good luck, guys. Let's have a good match.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit of niceness in the comments for a change.
Yeah,
I very much do hope we have a good match, although I do hope that we convincingly beat you. But yeah, it's nice to have a nice comment in there for a change. So listen, it's a second qualifying round. I don't know why I said third. It's the second qualifying round. The fixtures will take place between the 22nd, 23rd, and the 29th and the 30th. The fixture dates have to be decided, to be confirmed. So we don't know yet. It'll either be the 22nd or the 23rd of July, and then the second leg will be either the 29th or the 30th. I don't know why did I say third round? Honest to God, man.
Maybe you were thinking this is to get into the third round, so you maybe got it from there.
Or maybe I'm just an idiot. Yeah, I mean, Craig on Facebook, we're not really in a state. We got to the quarters of the Europa League with the current squad. If we are seemingly improving our squad under the new regime, why wouldn't we make the Champions League? That's a good point.
Well, when he says the current squad, there's a good, Czerny's not in the squad. Dessers is probably away. Is Raskin going to be around? There's a few left. So, yeah, I understand what he's saying, but if we look at the current squad as it is now, it's going to be drastically different from the one that was last season. So, and there's going to be guys coming back from loans who the manager's either going to give a chance to, or give a second chance, or get rid of. We don't know where the chips are going to fall for those guys. So there's a lot of people still. I reckon there's going to be 4 or 5 that are going to leave. At least 4 or 5 that are still going to leave us. So you've got your Dowells, your Davises, the Cifuentes, all that sort of guys. They're going to have to leave at some point, because I think Cifuentes has made it perfectly clear he's not coming back to Scotland. So that's the sort of guys that we've got to get rid of, those guys that are either don't want to be here, or they're surplus to requirements, so that we can utilise their money, their wages better for guys coming in. So that's going to be the tricky one for the club.
Yeah. Hello there. I'm a Panathinaikos fan, and we wanted Rangers also. I don't really blame them for wanting Rangers, to be brutally honest with you, Bryan. I really don't blame them. No,
not at all. Not at all. We've got to. And I've always liked Greece. I think it's a beautiful country. I've never been yet. It's one that's on the bucket list. So
been once, roasting, absolutely roasting.
You wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah, and Mac Vag, your team looks superior to ours. Well, how poor does your team look then? We have to play spot on in order to win. So do we.
Yeah,
to be brutally honest. But I suppose it'll be interesting to see, Brian, in a month's time, effectively, what this Rangers team actually looks like. Because the chatter is now that Connor Cody could possibly be going back to Wolves. Cyril Dessers, it seems to be dragging on a wee bit, his move to AEK Athens. So that's not 100% guaranteed to go through. And of course, Aston Villa are apparently have started talks with Nico Raskin. So we have no idea what this Rangers team is going to look like in a month's time.
No, exactly, and that's what I've been saying in previous sort of things. We don't know what we're going to look like when this tie arrives. We could look very similar with a couple of players, or we could be completely different and have 10 new players in the squad. We just don't know. We just don't know where the how I'm not saying lucky, but how fortunate we are in the transfer market, because you've got to have a little bit of fortune in the transfer market, in the sense that when you speak to players, is the timing right? If you get in there quick enough, that stops bigger teams coming in. So it's all, it's going to be. I think the squad's going to be vastly different by the time this tie comes along, and we'll see a very, very new Rangers team, in the sense that the starting 11 will be completely different from what we've seen in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, it will be, and it will be interesting to see. I'll need to go back and watch a couple of Panathinaikos' games for last season.
Yes.
And then again, I suppose the same goes for Panathinaikos. They'll be making summer signings. They'll be getting rid of some players. I don't know what if any Panathinaikos fans are still watching. I don't know what your transfer kit is like. I don't know what your budget's like. I don't know what your owners are like. So we've probably got no idea what kind of Panathinaikos team we're going to be facing either, Brian.
No, not at all. I mean, I believe, they got to the Conference League. I think it was the semi-final. Well, not last year. Was it the year before? Maybe the fans of Panathinaikos will sort of tell me, but I'm sure they got very deep into the Conference League, either last season or the season before. So, so they obviously know how to navigate European football. It's just the stage. It's just the stage that you're sort of at, isn't it? We've been sort of at the Europa League sort of stage there, at the the Conference League stage. So it's going to be a very tricky one. Simple as that. As I say, we've played Panathinaikos before. We've played Olympiacos before. So it's going to be, Greece is never easy. And as somebody said in the comments, they're going back to their traditional grounds. So that'll give them a lift, because it's always nice going back to your own proper ground. So because we fell foul of that last year with the Dynamo Kyiv sort of tie. So it's going to be very interesting. This next month's going to be, the manager and the board now know when the date is for the game. So I dare say there's a deadline before this tie, to sign guys. You have to get them registered by a certain time. So it's going to be all systems go for the sporting director and the manager and the board to get everything in place for the manager to be able, because let's be honest, the board and the sporting director have got to back this manager now for this tie. Simple as that. Everything, all systems go for signings have got to happen now before this tie starts.
Yeah, well, according to Nicholas, and I'm not going to offend you, Nicholas, by attempting to pronounce your surname. I'm not going to do it, because it will be extremely offensive. Guys, if Panathinaikos don't make 23 big transfers, you've got an advantage. They need a 10, a winger, and a centre back, and the goalkeeper isn't good enough either.
Sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
that sounds. I mean, that sounds like another team that I know quite well, to be honest with you, Nicholas. So I think probably both teams are in exactly the same position. So so Rangers have drawn Panathinaikos in the second round qualifier for the Champions League. Couldn't really have been much better or worse, to be honest. All three teams were relatively the same. Like I said, the only team I wanted to avoid was Bryan, because they have started the league season. So, Brian, let me just change the conversation slightly. Now that the draw's done, now that it's almost as if once the draw's done, it's became real. That's it. It's in front of you now. You know what you've got to face. You know what you need to do. Do you expect to see a barrage of signings coming through the door now?
I would like to think so, yes. I really would. The board, as I said just there, the board and the sporting director have really got to put the foot down now and get guys in in the door. Players can't be registered until the 1st of July, seemingly. So yeah. So we've the board have really got to now step up to the plate and give this manager support. They've appointed him. They said they're going to back him. So it's the proof will be in the pudding when this tie comes round, won't it? When we see all the signings. Lyle Cameron came in, a big sort of fanfare yesterday. We knew that signing was happening, but they waited till yesterday to announce it. So that's a sort of excitement that we're wanting. We're wanting more signings in the door that are going to make the fans get up off the edge of their seats. You want fast, pacey wingers. So it's an important month. It's massive. It's, as I said, this tie is basically do or die, isn't it? Everyone you play, it's do or die. Either makes or breaks your season. So
this tie, especially this tie, we have to win. We have to guarantee ourselves Europa League football. We have to absolutely guarantee that, because these qualifiers are a nightmare. Because I mean, I would imagine, listening to some of the Panathinaikos fans that we've had in, it's not the Panathinaikos of 10, 15 years ago. It's not the Panathinaikos where Nacho Novo scores that goal in Greece and we're all shocked and surprised that we've beat Panathinaikos. Or was it a draw? Was it one each?
One each, yeah.
We drew with Panathinaikos in Greece, which was a monumental result back then. Because Panathinaikos were an extremely strong team. But Jumbo's absolutely 100% on the money. Now it's not on. It will be by the time the game comes. But as of right now, as of 11:33 on the 18th of June, it's on Thelwell now to get the players in for the start of pre-season, Brian.
Absolutely, it's it is. It's Thelwell on the board. They've got to support the manager. They've said that they would, and this is it now. This next month and a bit is going to be, monstrous for this board. As you say, this is the last of all the games. This is, you don't want to lose this one because you're not even guaranteeing yourself Europa League group stage. So that's if we went out, say for example we lost against Panathinaikos, then for me we're worse off than what we were last season already, because we were in the Europa League, last year. So you've got to see progress. And for me, if we don't win this tie, that's not progress for me. We're going backwards. So the board and Thelwell have got to really get that black books out of all the signings and names that they've got written in and get them in the door as quickly as possible. And we've got to get the pre-season underway as well. So so it's all systems go now.
Are you slightly worried about the rumours coming out about Raskin, Brian? Are you beginning to think that we may not see him in a Rangers shirt again? I'm sort of more accepting the fact that he might not be here. I think this board have proved, the owners that have been at Leeds have proved that they don't shirk from selling their best players. They don't shirk from selling guys for a lot of money and then reinvest it back in. They did it with Leeds, where they sold Somerville for a lot of money. They sold I can't remember, Rafinha for Barcelona. So they sold a lot of good players and then reinvested it, and look at it now. So I wouldn't be surprised if a bid from Villa lands that we get. I would say Raskin is more than likely to sign him. But as somebody just said there, Villa I've got to be careful of the PSR sort of stuff with their money. So maybe it's not Villa, maybe it's somebody else. No, but that's for me why it's probably Villa, because 25 million. I mean, if Raskin was playing in Spain or in Italy, he's a lot more than 25 million.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's probably why they're looking at him and going, that is a player who we know can do a job. We'll bring him in. 25 million for us.
Mm-hmm.
They can deal with 25 million. 25 million to Villa is a couple of broken biscuits.
Yeah.
You know, and for the money that they're going to bring in from the Champions League run that will be added in, and the league finish and the TV money they get in England, 25 million is coverable. But if they want to go out and get a player of Raskin's quality from another top 5 league, then double that.
Yeah,
double that. Absolutely. Stephen Robertson, channel member, thank you so much for the super chat. And can I just say to everybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube and you're enjoying the show, if you could please give us a like, it really does help push the podcast out there, and consider subscribing. We are racing towards 14,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for all the support. Bryan hosting, Martin, great show ahead. Bryan is a better host than me, to be fair.
No,
and he's more handsome than me as well. So thank you so much for the support, Stephen. Also, the financial aspect of all this for us, Bryan. We talk about Aston Villa and what they need to do for PSR and stuff like that. We want to be back up there competing with Celtic, and we also need to be financially sustainable, whereas that means the player trading model, naming rights for the stadium, sponsorship revenue coming in. We need Champions League money. We need to get back up there fighting with Celtic on an even financial keel.
Yes, yeah, we really do. I think that's the frustrating part from the Rangers fans, is the fact that that Malmo tie. If I could go back and play a two-legged tie again, I would go back and play the Malmo game again, because if we manage to get past Malmo, then things are completely different, aren't they? We're talking in a different ticket. We're talking different levels of money and stuff like that. So that for me is when it's all. That's when the gap was, obviously getting wider from that point, and we're playing catch up now. So we're going to have to be smart. We're going to have to be clever in the transfer market, and not find the gems and polish them, and sell them on for good money. And we're going to have to do that for a wee while just to try and catch up again, because as I say, that ever since that Malmo game, we've been easily losing, progressively going backwards as far as money's concerned. So we've got to start bridging that gap.
I mean, this is just an example of what we're competing against in the world of football these days. And I know, look, Real Madrid, the biggest, the most well-known team in the world, right? Probably I'm a Rangers fan, so I say Rangers is the greatest team ever, right? But in the history of football, I think it's unarguable that Real Madrid are the greatest football team there's ever been, right? Even though in Spain I prefer Barcelona, right? But you can't really argue. They've won the Champions League more times than a lot of teams have won their own domestic leagues. So, but Liverpool sold Alexander Arnold for 10 million, so Madrid could get him 4 weeks early. All Madrid had to do was wait 4 weeks and get him for free, and yet they can just throw away 10 million. Can you imagine Rangers just throwing away 10 million on a player just to get him 4 weeks early? That's just a small sample, Bryan, of what we're up against.
It is. It really is. As you say, I think it was see, if it wasn't for this Club World Cup, I think Madrid would have waited. But it was purely for this Club World Cup. They wanted to get Trent in and get him signed as quickly as possible. So, yeah, 10 million. There you go. Just we couldn't wait 4 weeks, so there's 10 million. I mean, it must be a nice thought, that, isn't it? There's 10 million. Just have it now, But that, as you say, that is the sort of that's the sort of stratosphere that we're speaking about, isn't it?
It's a bit like me going to the shop and buying something, right? And I've got £2 on me, and it's £1.99, and I go, keep the penny. That's what that's like for Real Madrid, isn't it? That's pretty much what that's like.
Yeah, that's just the sort of the markets they shop in, isn't it? It's just completely out of anybody else's stratosphere, throwing away 10 million because you couldn't wait 4 weeks. So yeah, that's the sort of the upper echelons of the Champions League sort of money sort of experiences. But I dare say there's teams with our sort of budget that are. I mean, look at for example, Bodo Glimt. I mean, wow, they punch well above their weight. I mean, their budget must be minute compared to everybody else's, but they still manage to go deep into competitions and stuff like that. So there's it can be done.
They got destroyed off a team that we competed with.
Yes, but Bodo Glimt for over the piece usually compete very well in Europe.
Yeah, very good team, very very good team. Do you know what I dislike in this life, Bryan? Show-offs, right? Rangers on tour, currently in Salou, had a load of fellow Gers watch the draw on my phone at the poolside. Well, I hope it starts raining, and I hope when you get to the airport, your flight gets delayed, and you're stuck in Salou for 2 weeks, sleeping in an airport on an uncomfortable bench. But enjoy your holiday. Enjoy your holiday.
Martin's not a better man, honestly.
Not better in the slightest. Not better in the slightest. I think you'll find it is roasting hot in Hamilton. To be brutally honest with you. So yeah, enjoy your holiday.
Not Salou roasting though.
I don't care. I really don't care. So there you go, folks. Rangers have drawn Panathinaikos in the second qualifying round, not the third, the second qualifying round of the Champions League. So we will wait and see what both teams look like as we get closer to that date. It'll be interesting now to see what Rangers do in terms of incomings and outgoings. It'll be interesting to see how all that matches up. I don't care what temperature it is, right? Right. Salou's rubbish anyway. Who wants to go to a really warm country and sit by the pool and drink beer? Nobody.
Martin's moaning it's roasting in Hamilton, so he wouldn't cope with 30-degree heat in Salou.
Nah. Sitting beside a pool drinking a beer. What a nerd. Is nerd even a word anymore? I don't know. But yeah, anyways, folks, listen, Rangers have drawn Panathinaikos, second round of the Champions League qualifiers. Like I say, it'll be very, very interesting to see what business Rangers do now, if that maybe changes a couple of things that they wanted to do. It'll be interesting to see who comes in the door. It'll be interesting to see who goes out. But yeah, we may be back tonight. Normally on a Wednesday night, it's me and David Edgar from Heart and Hand who do our bi-weekly show. But of course, with David being out at NASA, it's off this week. So I will have a look and see if there's anything that we can do tonight. Failing that, we are back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. for members, for the members phone in. Tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 for the afternoon Rabble. And then tomorrow night for members, I believe it is the wrestling show on the Rabble Network. So if that sounds appealing to you, then get into the description. You will see links for YouTube and Patreon. Everything lives on the YouTube memberships, and then it's re-uploaded onto Patreon. Excuse me. For your audio listening pleasure. Bryan, thank you very much.
Thank you. And well, Cameron enjoyed his day yesterday, as AJ says, because that looked a really good day for him and his family. So
yeah, it looked amazing. He looked overawed, didn't he,
yes,
when he was walking about. Although we can't go yet because channel legend Stephen Robertson has put in another super chat. As JD says, yes, keep him on, Stephen. On Aaron's, Bryan, is it interest to sign or loan? If so, fees around 5 to 10 million. Surely a season or two at Rangers would definitely spike his price. As far as I'm led to believe, Bryan, it's just a loan. I don't know if there's an optional fee in there somewhere. Or very well possibly might be. We'll need to wait and see what comes out. But as far as I'm aware, with regards to Aaron's, it's just a loan.
Yeah, I believe it's just from everything I've read on X and everywhere else, it looks as though it's just a straight loan. So, yeah, I think the price tag, I think, I can't remember who said it yesterday. Somebody said that we've got to get away from these obligation to buys. We've got to go option to buys. If we're going down the loan route with money afterwards, we've got to go down with the option to buys rather than the obligations, because having obligations, that's you're effectively just putting off a signing till the next summer. Whereas if it's an option to buy, if the guy does well, then you pay the money. Whereas if you sign him on an option to buy and then things don't work out, you can just let him go back, and it's no.
For example, if he gets an injury that keeps him out for a year and a half,
yes,
then you can send him back.
Correct. Unlike Cortez, who's we're now stuck with for $4 and a bit million.
Well, I mentioned that on the morning show as well. Will there be an announcement video for Cortez, or will Rangers read the room?
This is him officially signing for the club. You know, he's been on loan up till now, so you'd like to think at any point the Oscar Cortez video will drop, because he's officially ours now. So yeah, I would
2 seasons, Bryan. 2 seasons he's been here.
It's hard. And the thing is, as well, see, when he first pitched up, I thought I really liked the look of him. I'm just kind of I'm worried that this injury is going to haunt him for a while, in the sense that he's always going to be injured. He's never going to be fit, because he just doesn't like being here. And instead of just coming out and saying, it's not my scene, like Cifuentes, at least Cifuentes turns around and says, look, it's not my scene, Scotland, I've not enjoyed it. Fine. Then at least you're honest enough to say that. Whereas I've just got the feeling Cortez is just hiding behind that injury. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, if that was the case, then just because we've got an obligation to buy, he doesn't have an obligation to accept the contract.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's
Um,
he could refuse to sign the contract, and then what is
then
it?
he goes back. Maybe Rangers have says to him, look, we can only offer you four pence a week. See if you'll stay on that. Anyway, listen, folks, it's Timothy Sharp. Sorry I'm late. Is there an afternoon rabble? You get a grip of yourself, Tim. Come on now. Is there an afternoon? What do you want us to come on and talk about? Everything we've just spoke about for the last 50 minutes? That would be extracting the Michael to the extreme. But no, I don't accept your apology for being late either. Don't accept it. I'm getting fed up with the likes of you and Lyndon and Geordie having an excuse for being late. There's no excuse for being late.
Wait,
No.
is London in the chat today? I haven't
Oh,
seen
he's
it.
not even showed up.
No, not
Not
good
even
enough.
showed up.
Not
No,
good enough.
He's a disgrace of a member, an absolute disgrace. For non-regular viewers, that's a joke. For non-regular viewers, Paul, what I would say is that this is my job. So unless you're talking to Tim, in which case, yeah, I totally agree with you. Right, folks, go and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm not talking football movies now, Detective Munch. Come on. I've been trying to end this show for the last 15 minutes. We're going to end up with just 13 people and a dog watching because you won't let me go. Go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, folks. Listen, just thank you so much for the support on the show, on the channel. It's amazing. Please, like I say, do hit that like button if you enjoy it. Please do consider subscribing. And if you want to help out the channel a little bit more, like I say, we do this full time. We're independently run. We're not backed by anybody. We rely on your viewerships and memberships to keep the show going. So if that's something that you want to do to help out the show and get access to loads of extra content, then the links for all that are in the description. So for the final time, Bryan, thank you very much. Thank you for the super chats we got in today, folks. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the Panathinaikos fans that commented in. It'll be interesting to see how that game goes a lot closer to the time. But as I always say, folks, thank you so much for all the support, and we shall speak very, very soon.